Hi, my name is Ken Millard, and I'm a machine learning architect here at Insight. I work with clients to implement end-to-end machine learning solutions across a range of technologies, and I'm here with Kyle Wallace. Kyle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Kyle Wallace. I'm an architect for Insight, and I work on building AI solutions for our clients.
Yeah, and today we wanted to walk you through a particular AI use case that we've implemented recently, and some of the pain points that we hit while implementing that, and how the NetApp platform can alleviate those pain points and increase your overall time to market in getting these AI products out into the world. So the use case that I want to talk about is something that we implemented recently with a large beverage manufacturer, where they generally their kind of motivation to come to us was to increase their warehouse operations and efficiencies. And so we partnered with them to really kind of review overall their warehouse systems, and we looked for specifically what were repetitive tasks that humans do kind of over and over and over again, because typically those make really good targets for AI automation. And what we realized between looking at their general business processes and then reviewing their data assets was that their inventory systems were a really good target for AI augmentation and in some cases automation. And so we worked with them to develop a series of AI models, some custom models built on TensorFlow, and some off-the-shelf OCR kind of style models, to build an AI system that allowed them to deploy to smartphones, and so their warehouse workers can just take pictures of the inventory, and it gets counted automatically, and then data entry and all of that is automated. And so overall, they were able to see a warehouse level 3% increase in efficiency.
Cool. So, Ken, it sounds like that was a pretty successful project. I mean, using iPhones to count inventory is pretty cool. Tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that you guys ran into with this project.
Yeah, I think the first challenge that we really ran into is a pretty typical one, especially in some of these unstructured data use cases or computer vision style use cases, was just really long train times. So we were dealing roughly with a corpus of about 500,000 images. And when you're developing models like this, the kind of freedom that you have in terms of network architecture and the different settings that you can use, like it really is almost infinite, the number of options that you have in terms of how you actually build the model. And so kind of a consistent factor that we really came up against over and over and over again is every time we had a new network architecture that we wanted to try out, we were looking at train times on the order of days, and so we would launch our training protocol, and we would essentially have to wait for a couple days to see if the things that we changed really worked, or whether or if it didn't.
Yeah, it's a pretty common problem, isn't it? Especially when you're doing multiple trainings of large data sets, it can really kind of compound that problem. So, that's a situation where Ontap AI can be really beneficial. Ontap AI is a reference architecture between NetApp and NVIDIA. It's purpose-built for running AI workloads, and is really designed to address the processing challenges AI workloads bring. So, it provides predictable performance and scalability. It's based on NVIDIA's DGX system, which delivers 5 petaflops in just 6 rack units. But how do we keep those GPUs busy? Because we can only process as fast as we can ingest that data. And if you're pulling from like a slow data lake or something like that, then we're still going to have that problem. So the cool thing about Ontap AI is it combines the DGX with NetApp high performance flash storage, such as the A800, and a really high performant fabric as well. So an Ethernet storage fabric from Mellanox, and an InfiniBand fabric for the GPU to GPU communications that can really significantly improve those training times.
That's awesome. Very cool. I'd say another pain point that we kind of really came up against was generally storage management. And so with this particular project, we had a corpus of actual images that was roughly on the order of about 100,000 images, which we needed more essentially. And so what we decided to do was to basically take that corpus of 100,000 images and modify it, right? So we're changing that base set of images, and we're changing the contrast, we're changing the lighting, we're changing the rotation, right? Just to kind of mimic and make the models that we were producing more robust to different lighting or rotation conditions, because not every lighting scheme in the real world is exactly the same. And so as we were doing that, uh, just like with the model development, you have a lot of freedom in terms of the way that you do that, and it's an empirical process. You try it and you see what works. We had to do the same thing with this image manipulation kind of routine that we were recreating to create this corpus of images. And so being able to create that much data and store it and move it and manage it, and then also version it to know, hey, this chunk of 400,000 images was created with this particular version of code. And then, so that we had really good tracking of what worked and what didn't was really kind of a struggle.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, volume management, storage, management is obviously something that NetApp has excelled at for years. But I think the challenge is that those capabilities are largely inaccessible to the data scientist. The average data scientist, anyway, doesn't know and work with Ontap necessarily. So one of the things that NetApp developed, over the last couple of years, to try and kind of close that accessibility gap is something called the NetApp Data Ops Toolkit. The first thing I really like about this toolkit is that it's free, so that's always good, right? It's open source, and so what it is it's a set of Python functions that can be imported as a Python library, and there's also a CLI that you can use, but its purpose is to bring those data management functions for use with ONTAP to the data scientists where they work in the Python code day to day, right? So, what I think it does that's really cool, in my opinion, is that it enables the data scientists to be self-service with regard to data functions with really limited or even no NetApp experience. So tasks such as creating a new volume for a Jupyter Notebook instance, or instantly being able to clone a volume to have a new writable copy that they can use for changing parameters and those kinds of things, or if you need to do a snapshot for volume traceability. These are all things that can be imported with just a simple Python function. And so rather than that data scientist needing to rely on infrastructure people to clone their data set, which can be an obvious bottleneck, or for him or her to need to write a bunch of lines of code to call an API, they can just do these functions these tasks with a simple Python function, right in their Jupyter Notebook to, as I said, clone a volume instantly. So it gives tremendous capability to do for that data scientist, right within their Jupyter Notebook. And it's not just an on-prem solution either. It's available for cloud volumes on tap as well. So really, wherever the data lies, the data scientist would have this capability as long as it's on ONTAP. So it's helping data scientists to spend less time on data management and more time on building their models. So I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I really can't wait to use this tooling in the future.
Cool. Well, Insight has got extensive demo and POC capabilities in our research and innovation hubs. We've got the full ONTAP AI reference architecture that I mentioned, as well as pretty much the rest of the NetApp portfolio. And it's something that we can certainly help you out with. So, we only had a short time to discuss with you today, but I wanted to at least let you know that we have this, and we can, if you're interested in seeing a demo or even kicking the tires on this gear yourself, give us a call. We'll be happy to help and show you more about what we're working on. So thanks for joining us today, and learn more at insightcdct.com.